As we approach the pivotal 2024 election, the Republican Party finds itself at a critical crossroads, one that could define its future trajectory for decades to come. The undeniable grip that Donald Trump has on the party raises profound questions about the direction of both Trumpism and the Republican ideology itself. This election is not merely a contest for the presidency, it serves as a referendum on the path the Republican Party has taken since Trump's rise in 2015. The stakes are incredibly high, as the outcome could either solidify the MAGA movement as the new standard for conservatism or usher in a return to traditional Republican values. In this environment, we must consider three potential scenarios that could emerge from the election results: a Trump victory, a narrow loss, or a significant defeat. Each scenario carries significant implications, not just for Trump and his loyal supporters, but also for the broader Republican Party and the American political landscape. A Trump win would signal a continued dominance of MAGA ideology, potentially shaping the party's future leadership and priorities for years to come. Conversely, a narrow loss could plunge the party into chaos, exposing deep divisions as Trump contests the election results, while a major defeat might force Republicans to reevaluate their identity and pivot away from the Trump era. As we delve into these scenarios, it's essential to recognize that the consequences of this election extend far beyond November. Whether the Republican Party remains a vessel for Trump's brand of politics or seeks to reclaim a more traditional conservatism could set the stage for a new era in American politics. The 2024 election represents a watershed moment, one that will likely influence the course of the Republican Party and American conservatism for a generation. Now, more than ever, it's vital for every voter to understand the stakes and make their voices heard. In the event that Donald Trump secures a victory in the 2024 election, the implications for the Republican Party and its ideological framework will be profound and lasting. A Trump win would solidify MAGA as not just a political movement, but a defining characteristic of the Republican Party, ensuring its dominance for the foreseeable future. The very fabric of the party would likely become intertwined with Trump's America First agenda, characterized by hardline stances on immigration, trade, and foreign policy. This ideological shift would not merely reflect Trump's views, but would become the party's foundational principles moving forward. Under a second Trump administration, the Republican Party would likely witness a significant consolidation of power within the MAGA faction. This could manifest in Trump anointing a successor for the 2028 election, possibly one of his children, such as Ivanka or Don Jr., or a loyalist like J.D. Vance or Vivek Ramaswamy. The political narrative would shift from whether the Republican Party is Trump's to how long it will remain under his influence. This shift in focus could entrench the idea of Trumpism as a semi-permanent fixture in American conservatism. Moreover, Trump's second term would provide him with the freedom to pursue policies without the constraints of re-election. This could lead to an aggressive push for tax breaks favoring the ultra-wealthy and the implementation of stringent immigration policies that have been a hallmark of his tenure. Furthermore, Trump's approach to international relations might shift towards skepticism regarding long-standing alliances like NATO and organizations such as the UN, potentially reshaping the United States' role on the global stage. However, the implications of a Trump victory extend beyond party politics. It could exacerbate divisions within the Democratic Party, sparking a civil war of sorts between moderates seeking to reclaim the center and progressives pushing for a more leftist agenda. While Democrats grapple with their identity, the Republican Party would have to navigate the consequences of a MAGA-dominated landscape where traditional conservative values, like fiscal responsibility and limited government, are overshadowed by culture wars and anti-establishment rhetoric. In summary, if Trump wins, the Republican Party would enter a new era of MAGA dominance. This scenario would have far-reaching consequences, not only solidifying Trump's legacy, but also influencing the political discourse in America for years to come. The repercussions of such a victory would reverberate through both parties, setting the stage for a fiercely polarized political landscape. A second Trump administration would almost certainly intensify existing polarizations in American society, both politically and culturally. The MAGA movement has already played a significant role in reshaping public discourse, leading to a climate where compromise is increasingly rare. With Trump at the helm again, the rhetoric is likely to become even more incendiary, further dividing Americans along partisan lines. Trump's propensity for social media and public rallies as a means of communication would mean that contentious issues would be amplified rather rather than resolved. The judiciary would also play a critical role in shaping this new political landscape. Trump has already made significant appointments to the federal judiciary, including 3 Supreme Court justices. Should he win another term, the likelihood of further conservative appointments could solidify a judicial approach that aligns closely with MAGA ideologies, particularly concerning issues like abortion, gun rights, and voting regulations. This judicial shift would have long-lasting implications, as many of these appointments could affect American law for decades. Moreover, a Trump victory might provoke a resurgence of grassroots activism among left-leaning groups. The rise of movements like Black Lives Matter and the Women's March was largely a reaction to Trump's policies and rhetoric. If Trump is elected again, these movements might gain new momentum, potentially leading to increased protests, civic engagement, and a push for progressive reforms. This activism could transform the landscape of American politics, compelling Democrats to address issues like systemic racism, economic inequality, and climate change more aggressively. In the realm of foreign policy, a Trump victory would likely lead to a more isolationist stance, undermining alliances and prioritizing unilateral action. His previous term saw strained relations with traditional allies and a preference for authoritarian leaders, a trend that could continue. Trump's unpredictable nature might exacerbate tensions with nations like China and Russia, leading to a more volatile international environment. The potential for military action could increase, as Trump may feel emboldened to take aggressive stances on issues that threaten national interests. Economically, Trump's policies would likely focus on tax cuts and deregulation, favoring corporations and wealthier individuals while potentially neglecting broader social safety nets. This approach would appeal to his base, but could further widen the gap between the rich and poor, leading to social unrest. While the stock market may benefit in the short term, the long-term consequences of such policies could foster resentment and economic instability among middle and lower-class Americans. In essence, a Trump win would catalyze a series of events that could redefine American politics and society, from heightened polarization and intensified grassroots activism to a more isolationist foreign policy. The ramifications would be profound, affecting not just the Republican Party, but the entire fabric of American democracy. As the nation grapples with these changes, the question remains, can it unite again, or will divisions deepen irreparably? The potential for a Trump presidency to impact social issues cannot be overstated. Under his administration, key issues such as immigration, healthcare, and education would be approached through a distinctly conservative lens. Trump's earlier policies focused heavily on stricter immigration controls, including the continuation of the border wall and the promotion of the merit-based immigration system. This hardline approach could lead to further divisions in American society, particularly among immigrant communities who may feel targeted or marginalized. The political discourse surrounding immigration has already been fraught with tension, and Trump's presidency would likely exacerbate these feelings, leading to protests and heightened scrutiny of immigrant rights. In terms of healthcare, Trump has consistently advocated for repealing the Affordable Care Act, ACA, without a clear alternative. A move to dismantle the ACA would not only strip millions of Americans of their healthcare coverage, but also fuel debates on healthcare equity and accessibility. This could lead to increased activism and demand for universal healthcare solutions, particularly from progressives and moderate Democrats who argue for a system that ensures coverage for all. The healthcare landscape in the United States could become a battleground, intensifying the struggle between those advocating for expanded access versus those prioritizing privatization and market-driven solutions. Education is another critical area where a second Trump administration could make significant changes. Trump's stance on education reform, particularly his support for school choice and charter schools, might gain momentum, diverting funds from public schools to private and charter institutions. This could deepen educational disparities, particularly in low-income areas where resources are already limited. The focus on privatization could lead to increased tension between communities advocating for public education funding and those pushing for alternative schooling options. Furthermore, debates surrounding curriculum content, particularly regarding race and gender issues, would likely escalate, igniting further cultural conflicts. As we look ahead, it is crucial to recognize that the potential for social upheaval is not solely rooted in opposition to Trump's policies, but also in the resilience and determination of those advocating for change. History has shown that moments of political tension often serve as catalysts for progress. Grassroots movements, coalitions, and alliances will play a pivotal role in shaping the narrative and ensuring that the voices of those affected by these policies are heard. In navigating the uncertain waters of a second Trump Trump administration, the American public must remain engaged and vigilant. It is through collective action and advocacy that we can work toward a more equitable and just society, fostering an environment where all voices are valued and heard, regardless of political affiliation. The path forward may be challenging, but it is through unity and perseverance that meaningful change can be achieved.